as I've been talking about it in the last few weeks, I think the Buddha's privilege before he left the palace and went out into the countryside trying to understand, his privilege allowed him not to care. Once he cared, everything got riled up. What was up was now down. What used to be good was now bad. And he recognized that good, bad, right, and wrong is set by convention. There is no absolute good versus an absolute bad. Mind makes everything. Culture and conditions create in a way, it creates the stage that we live our life from. Our sitting practice, fundamentally grounded in great question, helps us challenge the arbitrary truths of the stage that we find ourselves on. So Carrie talked about being born into this bubble and steeping in this bubble. Then he used the phrase, as we get older and older, we're marinated in that bubble. And then, when you marinate something, it starts to taste like the marinade. And it smells like the marinade. And if you think of a piece of tofu, it has very little flavor. And whatever you cook it in, you get the taste of that, those herbs, the spices, the sauces, and that becomes the taste of the tofu. So if I can take this image just a little bit further, we're all a lot like that little bit of bland white tofu. But depending on the circumstances of that bubble that we have found ourselves in, we start to take a smell, a taste, we start to mirror the circumstances that we live in. And it's through that great doubt that sitting down, turning our gaze inward, asking this question, what am I? And not only asking it, but feeling the question, becoming the question. We don't use the question as some idea to focus on. We use the question to arouse this great doubt that actually is fundamental to all of us. Think of how curious children are. Think about how many times a 3-year-old says, why? 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 And think about how often in responding to that, you really don't know why. You might hear yourself say, well, that's just the way things are. Well, it's that way because the stage has been set that way. And our practice is about going inward and finding that doubt to start to question the reality of the stage. And as Carrie pointed out, from moments of practicing, there's a moment where something arises, something that challenges the assumption, something that you notice that you've never noticed before. And once you put that into the picture, it changes the whole picture. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. So in reality, that stage is always changing. But we see it as solid and fixed. Our Zen practice teaches us to drop into not knowing. What is this? Rather than thinking and figuring it out, our practice encourages us to observe and witness and perceive. Our thinking mind is valuable in aid of that. But a Zen practitioner is turning their mindset from thinking and figuring to observing and perceiving. And if we can allow that observing, perceiving mind to grow, that transmutes into wisdom, love, and compassion. So this idea of helping all beings isn't about, oh, I have to do that, so I'll make an effort. That's a valuable practice. But the deeper practice is that not knowing, that deep perceiving and observing, transmuting into a natural, how can I be of service here? Find our way and do our best.